welcome to the Tracon stream studio. I'm here with our role-playing guest of honor, Jacob Budz, and I am going to start with the best question of any professional journalist. Who are you and what are you doing here?
Me? I'm Jacob. I am a YouTuber. I make videos on YouTube about Dungeons and Dragons and other role-playing games and stuff. I'm often screaming in my videos. They're ridiculous. But I also do a lot of other things online. I like to live stream D&D as well. I work on other projects and things like that, but mostly just videos on YouTube, which is pretty fun. So yeah, that's who I am.
Okay, and you've come to Finland. In the opening ceremony, you stated that it's first visit, and pretty much when you heard about Tracon, the first thing you did, you typed Finland into Google.
That's what happened. Yoni had emailed me, and I went and I was like, oh, Finland. Where is that? I think that's here. And then I offended every Finnish person ever by thinking it was Sweden.
Ouch.
Yeah, I was like,
Ouch.
oh, not that. It's right there. Okay, got it. And then I knew where Finland was. And it's been great being here. It's been really, really awesome. Learned a lot of stuff. So,
So how was the whole expectations versus reality going for you?
Okay, so I didn't realize how many forests would be here. That was a weird thing I noticed when I got here. I was like, there's so many trees.
Actually, depending on how you calculate it, by some definitions, Finland is one forest with the exception of the capital, because the tree density is
Really?
such,
It's so thick, it's just one giant forest?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's awesome. There's so many lakes here too. One thing that really surprised me was how many like technology and things have originated from Finland that have been brought over to America, and so many Americans just don't know like how many things are actually Finnish. So there's so many things here that are just really, really interesting.
The trees and lakes inspire us, I'm sure.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. There's a constant debate on how many lakes we do have, because what size makes a lake? What is it, too small and too big? So, I mean, we still haven't figured it out. We've had a little bit of time to practice.
There's a lot of lakes. There's a lot of them. If you look like a map, it's just like it's just lakes, and then there's forests all around it. I was like, whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah, well, maybe you'll have a chance to see a few more trees here.
Maybe a few more. It's so different from where I'm from because it's just like flat where I live, and it's just like almost desert basically. And to come here and it's just like water, trees. It's very refreshing. It's very nice.
Okay, well, that'll be a nice to maybe give some inspiration to future bits.
Exactly, right? Totally.
Yeah, actually, a lot of horror stories seem to originate from here too. I think that helps.
Really?
Darkness and the trees and that.
I bet so. In the dark, you can't see anything. It's just pure black. There's just like, what's lurking out there?
Okay, someone's going to have to fill you in on a lot of ideas for that. But I want to move on to you and role-playing, and let's hear your origin story.
My origin story for role-playing?
Yeah.
Okay, so I wasn't into role-playing like everybody was like when they were really young. I know a lot of people that are like, oh, I've been playing role-playing games since I was 5 years old. I don't know. I didn't even really know what it was until I was maybe in high school when I started playing like video games, like role-playing games. I was like, this is awesome. I wish there was like a more free way to do this. And then some of my friends were like, oh yeah? Well, let me show you Dungeons and Dragons. And I was like, oh my God. And it was amazing. And when I first started playing it, it was like nonstop. We were playing it every single day. I was like, this is amazing. I mean, all of my friends were into it when I got into it in high school, and it's never stopped. We've just always kept playing. We have like 4 campaigns that I run, or not at the same time, but like they have like a continuing story that have been going on through them for like the past 5 or 6 years. And then all my friends have their campaigns, and it's just gone up further and further and further since then. So yeah, nothing too special. Just found out about it one day and then started playing it, and I really enjoyed it, and it's consumed my entire life at this point. And it's fun. I'm very passionate about it.
Maybe before we go too deep into this role-playing area and all, a little bit of a background, zoom out for those that aren't that familiar with it. I mean, what is Dungeons and Dragons? What's a DM?
Oh, right. Okay, so Dungeons and Dragons is a role-playing game where you use dice, you make a character, and you go on adventures. You can go to dungeons, or you can there's a person that runs it. So there's a dungeon master, and the dungeon master basically plays out a story or encounters where you can fight monsters of things that are like in Lord of the Rings or like in other books or movies and things like that, and you get to feel like a hero. And the most fun part about it is that you really get the freedom to be as creative as you want with the game, which was just one big, really awesome part about it for me was just like, wait, I can do like anything, like within limits, but there's if you want to go here and slay this goblin and save this town, it is up to you on how you want to do that, and you and your friends. It's cooperative, and everybody gets to have fun imagining this story in their head, and it's just creative storytelling with your friends, which is the best part about it. I love it so much. So that's the way I always describe it, because I feel like there's really, sometimes the way people describe it can be really off-putting. Like, oh, you roll dice and you play a character and here's all the stats and all the numbers, and it's people get like scared. They're like, I don't know. It's like, no. It's like storytelling, but with your mind. That's like what it is.
That was actually what I was about to ask too. Like, how tough is it to get started? I mean, you go down there and you download like the basic rule book, 180 pages. This is like, start with this and then you can start reading the real rules.
Well, you don't have to. I don't think you need to know all the rules to start playing. And I think it's really easy to get into D&D. I've had a lot of friends who have no idea that they don't know what it is. And I'm like, no, just come play. It's easy. We'll hand you a character, and you can sit down, you can get started, and everybody else will kind of bring you into a little bit. And I don't think it's that difficult. You learn as you play. So you can sit down with no knowledge of really anything and go, okay, so I can do this. Yeah. It's just a lot of actions. Like, okay, you walk into a forest, you and your friends are in this forest, and you hear a sound in the distance. What do? You don't need to know the rules of Dungeons and Dragons to go, oh, well, I want to go over there and investigate it. And then the DM can be like, okay, roll an investigation check. Okay, do this. So I think anybody could play the game. Anybody could play it. It's so inclusive and so easy to get into, and it can be so personal too, because you can really make it whatever you want it to be. So, yeah.
Okay, that probably alleviates some fears, that one there.
Oh, good. Yeah, it should be just, you can do whatever you want. That's the best part about the game.
Okay, that's a pretty good sales pitch there.
Yeah, okay, good. They
right.
need to hire me.
Indeed. Okay, conventions, events. You've probably been to a few role-playing conventions and events. Any good memories? What makes a good con?
I've been to one. To be honest, I've been to one. I haven't really been to many because I get scared. I'm like, oh, there's so many people. But I've been here now, and I went to Gen Con, which is a convention in the U.S. and it's just role playing games, and it's in like Indianapolis, and it's very cool. There's a lot of it's really nice because you get to meet a lot of people who enjoy the same things as you, and that's really refreshing to see sometimes, because you really only get to see them on the internet, especially nowadays. It's like, oh, I only see them like when, I only get to hear from them from such a distance. When you go to a place and you get to actually see these people who enjoy the same things you enjoy, it's like, oh, and you feel like a connection with all these people, and it just feels so much, it feels great. It doesn't feel weird anymore. Like a lot of times you're like, oh, I play D&D, it's weird. But then you go to a place and it's like, everybody here plays D&D. It's like, my people, and it's great. It's awesome, and I mean that's really what I get most out of conventions now, is just finding the people who also enjoy what I enjoy, and it's great.
What have you thought about Tracon so far? You've seen it for a couple of hours now.
I love it. Biggest thing that I really like is everybody is really great at cosplaying here. I mentioned that to you earlier, but like all the cosplay here is just incredible. There's like so many characters that I've recognized. Like I was like, that's a Skyrim NPC, like a random character, and they full on dressed as them. That was awesome. And everybody seems to be really into all of the games and whatnot, and there's such a variety here as well. A lot of new systems that I've been learning about. That's been really cool. So, and I love how passionate everybody is here. That is really, what's the word I'm looking for? Alluring, I guess. Yeah, I think it's very cool that how much everybody just loves what they're doing here. Everybody's very sure about it. They're just like, oh yeah. This is Tracon. We do this. And it's like, all right, cool.
Okay, well, hope you get a good look around here, and
yeah.
maybe you can toss a few ideas our way, and maybe you can get a few inspirations of your own.
Oh yeah, I've definitely got a lot of inspirations on my own for my games when I go back home.
Okay, but YouTube is the thing that you're best known for, and to get us started on that, could we see picture number 1, please? So, want to tell me what's going on here?
Okay, so yes, this is my other channel. So I have my main channel, XP to Level 3, and this is my other channel called Arcane Arcade, and is where we play live D&D, and we had just recently set up some green screens for our live stream, and we're like, yeah, this will be so cool. Nobody wear green. I told all my players, do not wear green when you come to play. And one of my players shows up with that and an afro, because his character has an afro, and he was like, this is going to be me. And when we went live, I wish I had the picture for it, he's just invisible, and he's just a floating afro as soon as we started. But all of us who are playing at the table see him like that. So we're just like, and we had to play the whole game like that. And it was really funny. The best part about this story is that it started off so silly with this happening. We're all laughing and stuff. At the end of the game, his character actually died. So it was like, it started off, we were all happy and all this stuff, and then like 5 hours later, as we're into the game, he's still wearing the afro. It was like this really big boss battle, and his character ended up like dying, and it was really sad ending to the game. And it started off with him being a floating afro.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty weird.
Okay, so I think that answers the point. You have a wide variety of topics and ideas
Yeah, we have
going
a
on.
lot of different stuff that we do. The biggest thing is that we like to have fun on the channel. That's always a big thing. Is I don't like to take it too seriously. There's a lot of channels that are just like, oh, we have to be, so strict on this and this and this. And I'm just like, hey, welcome to our D&D stream. We are just playing D&D with cameras up, and that's basically it. And so I really like to be casual about it, and I think that really represents how casual we do get about it, because I didn't even know he was going to do that. He just showed up, and I was like, okay, this is what we're doing.
Yeah, roll the dice.
Yeah, just roll the dice. Yeah.
Okay, so you've actually taken this part about strict going with the numbers versus free and imagination in your videos. I take it that's an important matter for you.
Yeah, especially with the game, and also kind of like real life for me too. I have to be honest and say that the numbers do really matter. There is a business side to YouTube, and there is a number side to the role playing games. There are some role playing games that don't use that many numbers, and it can be fun, but I think there's rules for a reason, and the numbers are very important in all of that. And I definitely try to respect it as much as I can when it comes to YouTube and to role-playing games. But I am much more of like creative, like, let's just go with the flow, let's just do things, and I'm just going to make this because it's fun. And that's just kind of what I default to. Especially with RPGs, just somebody comes into my game and they're like, I want to have a laser hand sword. I'm like, okay, let's try to roll with it. And I know a lot of other DMs would just be like, well, I would never allow that in my game. And I'm like, they can have fun with it. That'll be fun. We'll see what happens, So I really just like to roll with whatever. I think that's fun.
Yeah, okay. You're planning a new episode, okay? Searching for inspiration. Do you have like this pile of ideas on your desk and, I want to do all of them, but I just have to pick one? Or is it an empty table and like, okay, what am I going to do?
Probably more of the last one. I come to a point where like, I haven't made a video in a while. What do I make? And sometimes I'll get a bunch of ideas, and then I'll try to cram them all into one video, and I'm like, this isn't necessarily working very well. But most of the time I'm just kind of like, I don't necessarily know half the time. I'm like, well, let's just, this is funny. We'll just roll with that and make that a video and see what happens.
What kind of places are you going to look for inspiration? I mean, besides Dungeons and Dragons, other role-playing games, other games, TV, video, philosophy, religion?
Well, sometimes if I'm playing video games, or if I'm actually playing a role-playing game that's different from D&D, because you kind of get stuck in the mindset sometimes. So you play D&D over and over and over again, because that's mostly what I play. But there are other role-playing games that I'll sometimes get into, and I'll find like a rule, and I'll be like, that's cool that they do that here, but that's not in this system. I want to make a video about that. And then I get an idea and I want to go with it. And then sometimes if I'm, experiencing other media that is just so far away from, all of the fantasy and all of the role-playing games, and there's just new ideas that come into my head because I kind of have fresh eyes on it. That'll give me a lot of inspiration too. That is kind of where I draw a lot of my inspiration, is from those outside sources, because...
so you're shopping and you're getting a carton of milk and, I just got an idea.
Just like, milk in Dungeons and Dragons. I've got to make a video about that. Yeah, sometimes, really, that happens. I'll get ideas over things and just be like, but that's also just my brain. I'll just be like, just doing something just random. I'll be like, what if this was in D&D? And I'll think about it, and I'll try to apply it to somewhere. So, yeah, that happens very often.
Okay, so Dungeons and Dragons is, we could call it an analog game you played on a table, and YouTube is a rather digital format, a rather modern format.
Yeah.
How do you make something that traditional interesting on YouTube?
It's difficult. A lot of people try to do it, and some people are really good at it. They get a grasp on how to make it interesting. I think the biggest part about it is that you need to know what makes you and your game fun to watch. So, for example, there's a lot of other streams like Critical Role. The biggest part about them is that they're voice actors, and they're all actors. They've been on stage and they've been in the booth for a long time. They know how to be entertaining, and that's cool. But sometimes, we don't know how to be entertaining. We're just whatever. We're just playing.
You're having fun, and you hope the fun catches on.
Exactly. So and that's the big part and that's why I'm so carefree about our streams as well, is just because it's like, hey, we have fun doing this. Maybe you will also have fun watching this. And, we're not going to try to be entertaining, but we want to have fun. And we'll interact with the chat, and we'll talk to you. And, we want to share this story with you as well. And I think that's the big thing we get out of it. And I think I would encourage a lot of other D&D streamers to realize why people want to watch you. Figure that out, and then you'll be perfect and ready to go, because it is difficult to kind of adapt that to like a digital form, because there's so many moving pieces, like all these players and dice and all that. And it's like, we need 8 cameras here, and then everybody has to have a mic on them, and it's just like, no, just do what's fun. You be passionate and creative about it, and it'll be like magic.
Okay. Magic seems to help a lot there.
Yeah, just magic. It'll help.
Okay. So talking about YouTube as a social media platform, we've everyone's read or perhaps experienced some of the darker sides of social media as well. So it's, what kind of experience have you had? Any especially good or bad memories? I'm of course hoping that social media is not just a threat to humankind, but also a possibility.
Yeah, no, I haven't had too many terrible experiences with social media. Nothing really truly awfully negative, really. The role-playing community can be very nice sometimes. Everybody's very inclusive. It's very good. I mean, occasionally I get sometimes I'll make a video and it'll be kind of I'll be kind of joking, I'll be kind of dumb throughout the video, and everybody in the comments is like, "You're wrong. It's actually like this," and everybody's just roasting me, and I'm like, okay, guys. All right. And that's about the most a negative I've ever really gotten, is people just being mean in comments. But actually, most of the time I've had a pretty good experience with social media, and I've seen bad things happen to other people, and that sucks. And I always feel bad for that. But I think it's a very valuable tool. It's really great for us to interact with other people who are in these circles, and it's really great when you see so much positivity sometimes. Where sometimes I'll go onto Twitter or something, which is known for just bashing people all the time, and I go on there and I'm like, man, I worked so much on this video and everybody's being really mean to me, and then there's all these comments that come in just like, oh no, it was great, you did really awesome, I really loved it, and I'm just like, oh, all of my insecurities, and it just I latch onto it too much, and that's not very good. But it is really nice to see sometimes that there are some people who really do care. And it's like, oh, and some people will even get really personal. They'll DM me and just be like, hey, you got me into D&D, and I love that. And that just makes my whole day sometimes. It's just like, wow, I'm actually affecting people. That's crazy.
I don't think there's too much positivity on social media,
No.
so I don't think you should feel guilty about that
Yeah, well,
side.
that's good. Yeah, not too often, but I think it's really, really great when you do see it. It can be beautiful.
Yeah. Have you, you've probably heard for a lot of different kinds of viewers, have you been able to maybe get some people who might not be too, how should I word this? The idea of going to play with maybe new people, a new game, might seem like a little bit of an overwhelming challenge. Have you been able to get people who might be a little bit shy about D&D into it?
Yeah, I sometimes get people who are just like, how do I get into games? And I'm like, that's hard. There's a lot of online communities that can help you with that, and all that kind of stuff. But there are a lot of shy people that try to interact with other people on the internet, and it's difficult because it's on them, and then it's on the other people to try to make them feel inclusive. But it can be good sometimes.
Mm-hmm. So do you, with all you've done a lot of videos. Do you might want to share on this social media and interacting side, any tips for beginning vloggers? Maybe something that you wish you would have heard when you started.
Do what you want to do. A lot of times, so when I was first starting, I was like, okay, I need to make the things that everybody's asking me to make. So I'd make a video that I loved. I'd be like, haha, I like this video. And everybody in the comments was like, make another one. And so I'd make another one. Then like, make this. And then I'd make that. I'd like crowd pleasing basically, but it doesn't work sometimes. Especially because one advice that I had to learn when I was getting through YouTube was like, your audience doesn't necessarily know what you want sometimes, because they're there to watch you, and they're there not to watch, what they don't always know what they want. So when you make something that you're passionate about, and that you really want to make, they will also be passionate as well, because they want you, they want what you make, and that's the most important part. So I wish I would have known that.
They want to be surprised.
Exactly, they want to be surprised. I don't want the same thing every time. Who wants sequel after sequel after sequel after sequel? And so if I could go back in time and tell myself, I would go to myself and just be like, hey, just make what you want to make, and don't worry about what everybody else thinks. Just do it. Just do what you want to do. And I'd be like, okay, good. But that's a lesson to learn, and I hope that other people can learn that as well.
Okay, a little bit on the technical side. Could we see actually picture number 2? You can tell us what's happening there.
Oh, this was a lot of fun. So, yeah, this was a behind the scenes of one of the videos that we did, and it has a bit of a funny story. So normally for my videos, I go out and we go to locations to make the skits look kind of realistic. Like we have like an oak reserve near the city I live, and we went out there and we went to go film this music video that I had made for a video. And as soon as we got out there and we started doing skits, we walked like 20 minutes out there. It started raining really, really hard, and we had to walk all the way back to our cars. It was soaking wet. And we got in and we're like, great, we're gonna have to come back and film tomorrow. And then it stopped raining. We're like, ah! So we had to get out, walk all the way back and finish, and we're like super wet in that picture right there. I was just like, we're done, we did it, we're finally, we're just soaking wet, like just miserable, and we're like, this is what it takes to make YouTube videos. It was just absolutely ridiculous. But I mean, sometimes these little adventures happen when you're just making a little video, and then, there's random people walking by and they're like, what are they doing? Are they running around with swords and a guitar? Is that guy singing? They just keep walking.
Yeah, I think I've had a few of those cases, and a lot of we have a park right outside Tracon. You've noticed that, and weather permitting, of course, there's local citizens walking past, and there's there might be a mother with her young children or a grandma living nearby, and says, okay, what's going on here? There's some guys whacking each other, the buffer tournament there, and or they might be dancing in weird costumes.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Where am I? What is going on? Yeah, my town isn't necessarily used to it too much, because we don't have like a big nerd culture there, so we just look like weirdos.
Oh, that can be very therapeutic.
Yeah.
Okay, a little bit more on the technical side. So, what all do you need? Again, I mean, you could probably start with just a mobile phone, but talk a little bit about what you need, what stuff's useful.
Okay, so you do bring up a good point with the whole mobile phone thing, because that was a big part of when we first started with XP to Level 3, the channel that I have right now, and we were going into it, and me and my friends who were making some of the videos were like, oh, we need all this equipment, we need all this, and I was like, no, we don't. Just use our phone and we'll be funny. And that's it. That's all we really needed. But now we've really upped production a lot, because we have audience and we have more people, and we can be really creative with what we want to make. So a lot of times with videos, I mean, we use a camera and we use some costumes that we have, and we're like I write up a script, and it's like, okay, we have a skit here, and it needs a guy in a robe, and we need a sword, and somebody has to die. And so we'll get the camera, just the one camera we have, and I'll get my fiance to film sometimes, and she'll come down and she'll just film me and my friends just being dumb. And so it's very non-professional. Even to this point where I'm close to getting to about 200,000 subscribers, it's still we're just being silly and just making these videos just for fun. And I kind of like that. I kind of like that it stays small. I never want it to get too crazy to the point where it's overproduced, because I feel like we'll lose some of that homemade magic to it.
sort of homemade magic and keeping it simple seems to be a big theme for you generally.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like it. I like to stay simple. I think there's something special with that. Really, I really do.
Okay. Dungeons and Dragons, it's not a new game, but it seems to be thriving. And actually, we could take a look at picture number 3 and talk a little bit about how it's still managing.
Oh, man. Okay, so this, I love this picture. It is absolutely ridiculous. It is a nerdy picture, but to me, I really love it because this was the end to a very long-running campaign that we had. We had played it for about 3 or 4 years, like one campaign, and that's our dungeon master in the back, and that's everybody who is playing. It's my fiance on the left, and we had finished. We had defeated the bad guy. You can actually see the picture of him on the TV in the back there. It was the big lich that we had killed, and we had gone through all the levels and everything, and we finished, and we were done. We were like, we just finished this campaign. This is insane. Oh my gosh. And everybody was like, oh, we have to take a picture. And so we took a picture at the end, and I'm like holding a dice, and we were being silly. But like, it was cool to come to like such like an end to a journey, and it was a lot of fun. And it really showed me like, wow, this game can really have an impact on you as a person, because that was like a whole journey me and my friends have gone through, and we go back and we think about it, and we're like, oh, remember when we did this, almost like it's real memories for us, but they kind of are. It's like these little stories that live in our head, and it was just, it's really magical to me.
Okay, so that's probably the magic of Dungeons and Dragons. Like you get a modern computer game, console game, and I played it through in 50 hours and stuff.
Right? Yeah, that happens. You're like, oh, did you play that game? Oh yeah, I played that game. Didn't you like this part? Yeah, it was cool. Okay. And it's like, all right, well, we both mutually enjoyed this thing, but like D&D can be anything. It could be something like, even if you have pre-written modules of like, okay, me and my friend, we played Curse of Strahd and your group played Curse of Strahd, but we did it differently, and it can be as different as possible, and it's really, really cool to like hear about those little things because it's special to you.
Okay, so how about role-playing in general? Where do you see it being headed? Now, actually, just to put this in context, if we could see picture number 4 quickly. This is from the public broadcaster Yle here that featured the role-playing convention Tracon recently. They did a feature of it. It was on the main news broadcast. Live-action role-play was also featured. Odysseus recently, they had a really big feature on it. And in general, they've been in the news and the media, at least over here. So it seems to be like going mainstream, even role-playing culture. But I don't know if I were to tune in CNBC, CNN, or dare I say Fox News, will I be someone there saying that role-playing is a wonderful thing for all people?
Yeah, that's definitely what they'd be saying.
Oh, okay, yeah. Then the rumors were true. Okay, let's take a moment to cry here, yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? So, sorry, what were you asking?
Generally, where role-playing is headed, I mean, I'm seeing here that it's getting a lot of mainstream attention.
Oh yeah, it is. It's been crazy these past like couple of years. I don't want to be all hipster about it and be like, I was in it before everybody else was, but like so many people have been playing it for so long. But really, me and my friends didn't get into it while it was like super popular, and then like 2 or 3 years later, it just exploded. It was insane. So many people are talking about it, and it's becoming so conventional. Like I just see it everywhere, and everybody's like talking about it, and it's just crazy. My fiance works at a school, and she's like an aide there, and she was listening to some students, and they were like, "Oh, well, you're gonna get hit by a fireball," and she was like, "Are they talking about D&D?" And it's just like you just hear it. It's just so crazy. So I have no idea where it's going to go after this. Maybe it'll become so mainstream that it starts getting like, I don't know, too mainstream? I hope not. I still think it'll always stay as like this little nerdy thing that everybody can always obsess over. But I really can't predict what's going to happen next because it's just so mind-blowing how big it's gotten.
I suppose it has some challenge in because people need want a quick fix entertainment. I mean, as you said, it doesn't take that much to get into D&D, but you do have to like set your mind to it and reserve some time for it. But if you want 10 minutes of fun, that's not the right thing for you.
No, yeah, and I think that's why people are so passionate about it too, because they thirst for it. You know, they they go some people are like, oh, I haven't played D&D in like 2 weeks, and it's like, oh, and then so they're just like, they just watch videos and they take in content. They're just trying to get every little bit out of it that they can because they want it so badly. And I think that's why it's so popular, is that people just want it, and then when they actually play it, it's just euphoric, and it's just so much fun.
You know, that's an idea for an upcoming video for you. You could compare nicotine addiction to dice addiction. You know?
I mean, they're pretty similar. I see it all the time. Just like, guys, I'm buying so much dice. I spent thousands of dollars. Oh my gosh, my fiance has way too much dice. Way too much dice. It's like, I have a bag of like maybe a few, and then she's like, it's so much, and she's bought them all individually. I'm like, you have a problem. We need to talk. You have too much dice.
Okay, so D&D therapy might also be
Yeah,
an
D&D
episode.
dice therapy.
Yeah.
It's just a group of people all sitting around. Hi, my name's Jacob. I buy a set of dice every week.
Hi,
sometimes
Jacob.
every day. Yeah, hi, Jacob. I have 2,000 sets. It's ruining my life.
Yeah. I lost my wife, my house,
Lost
my
my
car,
entire
my
house.
job. Yeah.
I actually live in all the dice, so that's where I sleep. I really have had to weed out the D4s. It's very bad to sleep on those.
Okay. I think this needs an entire episode. This
I know,
one.
right? Yeah, that should be its own thing.
Okay, we're gonna have to start writing ideas down.
Yeah, I know.
So let's try, for the middle of it, one of those really silly questions that you're really not supposed to ask, but it's always asked. So will console games, online games, social media, you name it, destroy traditional role-playing, or will our grandchildren still be tossing dice?
No. Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to make it a lot better. I think it's going to, I don't know, make it better. It'll change it. D&D has, and role-playing games in general have changed over the course of the generations, and I think it's just going to adapt, and I think people are going to play it differently, and that's okay, because you can always play it in the old ways, and if it changes to fit a newer generation, then hey, that's how it's going to be. At least they get to enjoy the game, you know?
Maybe share some of these examples, because I've seen like website programs that help you set up the game and all these. Maybe a few comments about how you can bring something new into the old.
Yeah, so I run a game, so I have a Patreon, and on my Patreon, one of the tiers is that they get to play like D&D with me. I run a game with them every week, and because they're all over the world, my 5 other players, we have to play online. And when we play online, we use tools like Fantasy Grounds and like Roll20, and these tools are really nice because it allows us to roll dice and use minis on the computer. And that's a lot of fun. And it also is really cool because it kind of skips some of the like grindy parts of the game. Like, okay, you do 3 damage. I have to subtract this. Okay, wait. What was that other thing you had? Okay, roll that. Okay. Okay, you did that. Next turn, you know. On these tools, it's just like, pop, done. Like, it's super easy. And it's like, oh, this is kind of nice. And some people are just like, that's not traditional. And it's like, but it's fun, you know? It kind of becomes like a video game, sort of, but it's still the game. You know, you don't have to use it to its entirety, you know? You go into it sometimes, you know, like, oh, it's nice to have for this, but I don't want to use it for, you know, it's nice to have for combat. For like combat where it's like really number crunchy all the time, it's great to have these like tools that just get through it really quickly and it feels really nice. But like, for moments of like role playing, you don't want to use like a bunch of like computer stuff unless it's, you know, or like new tech or anything like that. Like I've heard people who are like, I want to use a voice changer for like as a dungeon master. I'm like, okay, that's all right. That's cool, but it's kind of weird. Like I guess it's really immersive, but.
Okay, so basically, let the computer do the math. It's good at it, and let humans do the emotion.
There we go. Yes, exactly it. I think that's exactly how I feel. I think the very human part about it is the stories and the emotion that we get to tell out of it, and then all the math that I never learned the computer can do it. I don't care about that.
Okay, you touched on another key word that I'd still like to bring in here: teamwork. Now, well, Dungeons and Dragons obviously is not a single-player game,
No.
and working with videos, it's not a one-person project. You often have other people there helping you otherwise. So, you probably work with a lot of teams and people. So, how does it work best?
How does a team work best? I think a team works best with really good leadership and with people who are willing to cooperate. If somebody doesn't want to be there, then it's not going to be a good team. If somebody's not going to be able to lead the team in order to do what they need to do, then it's not going to work very well either. And I mean, that's how games go as well. If you're playing a game and somebody doesn't want to be there, nobody's going to have fun because that person, everybody's going to feel uncomfortable and they're going to be like, oh, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. And it's just like, you know. And then I've also seen some D&D parties that have just their leaders are just not good. And as much as people want to be like, oh, parties don't have leaders, we can do whatever we want. It's like, it's not true. There's always somebody who's kind of directing the party in one direction or directing the game. And even then, the dungeon master is leading the entire game and leading most of the fun that the players are having. So I think those two are really, really crucial to teamwork and cooperation. And I think the biggest part is that everybody needs to have the ability to cooperate. There's a lot of respect involved with that. And so when everybody's willing to cooperate and there's somebody who's willing to lead and everybody's willing to respect that person and talk to one another and communicate, of course, I think teamwork works really well.
So the same applies to playing Dungeons and Dragons or making a video with a group, basically.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
You need a dungeon master.
Exactly, you need the dungeon master, and then you have the one person who brings all the food, and then you have the one person that sets up the room or cleans up or something like that. And it's like the same thing for making videos. They kind of feel similar, which is probably why I make my videos with the people I play D&D with. We're all kind of passionate about it, and we all kind of feel the same about it. And we also get to do, go out in the forest and have giant swords and kind of feel fun. Somebody put a comment about that in one of my videos one time. They were like, you guys just do these skits so you can go out into the forest and swing swords at each other, don't you? And we were like, no, maybe. That's very similar.
Yeah. That might be a little bit, the concept of going to a forest in Finland to a Finnish person might be a little bit weird. I mean, okay, I walk out the door, I take 20 steps.
Yeah, 20 steps. Yeah, we have to go all the way out there. We have to drive like 20 minutes to go to a little tiny forest. Oh. Yeah, that's why I was so surprised when you were like, there's so many trees. It's great.
Yeah, forest is very therapeutical as well. And
yeah.
Man, as we said, you'll probably get a few inspirations out of the forest here.
Definitely.
Okay. Final thing.
Okay.
So the theme of this year's Tracon is a hero's journey. And I would like you to share a hero's journey that comes to your mind. Now, it can be true or it can be fictional. It can be about your heroic visit coming all the way here or something else, something that's on your mind.
Okay. The biggest heroic journey I have for myself would have to be starting my YouTube career, because it was and that sounds really silly, but to me it's my hero's journey. It was a really big risk, and it was really, really scary to try to do. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, you do YouTube, it's so easy and stuff like that. And it's like, starting it was not easy at all. When I was first getting into it, I was just making videos for fun, and I was uploading them to YouTube, and it was just something I was passionate about. I really like video editing, and I really like D&D, so I was just making videos about it. And then it got some popularity, and I was like, oh, okay, I can't dedicate any time to this because I have to work. And I have to, I have a life and all of these other things that I have to do. And it was especially work. I had to make money and all these kind of things. And I was like, this is making money. This might work if I could get it to work. And I really only had one option because I didn't have any time to make videos because I was just working so much. And I went to my girlfriend at the time. She's my fiance now. And she was like, well, I'm working right now. If you were to quit and just do YouTube, your job and just go for it and risk it and try to do it. You may, because I was living by myself at the time in an apartment with 2 other roommates, and it would have been a huge risk because I might have lost. I couldn't have been able to pay rent. I would have screwed them over because they afford what they can't afford. We were just living off of this little amount of money, and I was just sitting there like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And so I quit my job, and I was like, and I just uploaded a ton of videos, and I was just making videos left and right, and I was like, you know what? If this doesn't work, then okay, at least I learned, and it was an experience I got to have. But it did work, and it was really surprising, and it was really, really, I can't think of the right word. It was awesome, because it really felt like a big accomplishment for me, because I had to go through and really risk all of this to try to get this career and do something that I was passionate about. It was like the first time ever I was like, you know what? I don't want to do any of this. I want to do this because I love it. And I got it. And I got to do it because I worked for it, and I got to go there. that was a lot of fun to go from like here where I was just like, I just hate my job, I just don't like what I'm doing, to doing what I'm passionate about and being loving about it. And then a few years later, coming to Finland and being able to talk to all these people, and all of these experiences, that is probably the hero's journey for me, definitely, of just like, hey, I'm the hero of my own story right now because I got to be able to do this, and it's just been incredible. So.
Can I ask, what was the look on your boss's face? Like, I'm going to quit because I'm going to be playing role-playing games on YouTube.
They asked me, they were like, so why are you quitting? Did you get a new job? And I was like, I'm going to do YouTube. And they were like, okay. They were like, oh, weird. Okay. This guy's life's going down the drain. It was even funnier for my parents because I didn't tell them until after I had quit and I was no longer working there. It was on Christmas. And they were like, oh, don't you have to work tomorrow? And I was like, nope. And they were like, why not? And I was like, I quit. And they were like, what? And I was like,
Have you gone to see your boss afterwards?
I actually have, because I used to work, I was working in retail, and I've gone back to the store before, and they're just like, hey, you're not dead. And I'm like, nope.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good theme to end this. So,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
not being dead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not being dead. Woohoo! Hero's journey, not dead.
Okay. All right. Thank you from the stream studio here. Thank you, Jacob. I hope you have a fun adventure here
Yeah.
going on.
Thank you.
And I hope you stay on the channel because we've got a lot here going on the Tracon stream channel. We've got a lot of things live and everything you can watch afterwards as well. Unfortunately, our cosplaying guest of honor could not attend, so we don't have her interview tomorrow because of the hurricane. There were just no flights out of Florida, unfortunately.
Yeah,
But
that sucks.
AKR Cosplay will be with us next year, so don't worry. It's certainly worth waiting. We'll have a little special feature tomorrow from the studio. It has to do with role-playing, and it's in Finnish, but unfortunately, I'm not allowed to tell anything more, mostly because I'm not sure myself.
All right.
All right, let's continue our adventure.
Yeah.
Bye.
See ya.